So you have to dummy it down to help your ego.
Be professional, Dr. Burst, Dr. Ellison. Running numbers so clean, they thought it was embezzling. Faith thicker than a hymn, pages worn in the Bible. Veteran hustle, I'm waging war on my rivals. Heavy bass like a sermon shaking pews. 808 stomping these beats, ain't got no truth. Slew, whistling soft, but the words cut sharper. Moody as the weather when the skies go
Hello,
darker.
professionals, and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Dr. Ellison, and I have my partner in crime, Dr. Burks. I am an expert in leadership and a business strategist. She is an expert in HR. We are doing something a little bit different today, professionals, and we are going to talk to you about some bad workplace advice that we have been given. Bad advice knows no end. We do want to start off, as we usually do, with a scripture. And the scripture we have for you today, it comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 44 and verse 25, and it reads like this: I expose the false prophets as liars and make fools of fortune tellers. I cause the wise to give bad advice, thus proving them to be fools. And we know that this world is full of wisdom that is invalid. And we just wanted to talk to you about some bad advice that we have been given, because as we are doctors in our field, and we've been in our field for quite a few years, we have definitely had our share of bad workplace advice. And we're just hoping that we can share some of our experiences so that you don't have to see some of the mistakes that we've made. Dr. Burks?
I am excited because there's not too many opportunities that we get to talk about this. And so I guess tag me in first, coach. So my piece of bad advice. So I'll say this. One of my key functions in HR is talent acquisition. And so with that, you have to understand external and internal equity. And so what that means is, what are you worth? What are you worth in your industry? And then what are you worth within the organization that you are applying to? So it was a few years ago, and I was applying for just different jobs, and I wasn't sure if I wanted something that was like mid management, if I wanted something upper management. And so I said, okay, well, what I'm doing right now, I'll take something a little in the middle, something that's not too stressful. And so I was applying for jobs, and I could not figure out like what is wrong. And I would get feedback that, you had good qualifications, but you're overqualified for these positions. It wasn't a worthy it wasn't a smart investment when they feel like I would be leaving soon thereafter. So in having conversation about it, I'm frustrated. And I had people start to tell me, well, take your credentials off of your resume. And I said, well, what purpose does that serve? And I was told, well, that'll make it easier to find more opportunities, because then they won't see how much educational experience and professional experience you have, and then you will be able to qualify. So basically, the bad advice is, if I know my internal and external equity, why would I take my experience and my credentials off of my resume so that I can get a job opportunity? Why is that stupid? Respectfully, it's stupid because at some point they're going to know how many credentials I have. So why waste the company's time or my time when I know when I walk in there, I'm going to want a certain salary? And they're not going to understand why I feel I have the equity to request that salary, because from their perspective, all I have is a few years of experience. And so it concerns me because this false narrative is going around where people are, is it more important to obtain the job that you want, or is it more important to just have a job? Now, I feel like professionals in the current state of where we are, you have to be very intentional about what positions you tie yourself to. And so is it worth it to take something and dummy down your worth just so you can have a few more interviews and have a couple of job options? or keep your credentials, stand your ground, and lean on God and trust that if you didn't get it, it wasn't His will for you and that you have something better coming in the future. So do not take your credentials off if the goal is just to get more opportunities. It does not make sense to discredit yourself or dummy down what you can do just so you can fit in with the rest, because the Bible tells us that the road is narrow, not wide. So if I have to miss out on more opportunities just to get that one or two opportunities and job offer letters, then I have to do that because I know my worth, and God is not a God of mediocrity. And so why would I settle for just anything? So no, that was horrible advice. And I thank God for the discernment to know not to listen to it. Now, what you think, Dr. Ellison? Because it's crazy.
That's I can see how people would think that that advice makes sense, but that is horrible advice. And as an executive that sits in the C-suite, and I have for quite a bit of time, you never know who is watching you. You never know who is looking at your resume. You never know what opportunities are on the horizon. And if you have dummied yourself down, watered yourself down, just to get a job for the time being or just to appease somebody, you could potentially be missing out on a huge opportunity, because someone from above may be looking at you and they may say that person would be a good fit for this opportunity. And behind the scenes, out of your awareness, they may go and pull your resume and they may be like, oh, but this person doesn't have this credential, but you may actually have the credential. So I think that that's some horrible advice, Dr. Burks. And I think that you are exactly right that don't water yourself down for the today, because you never know who's looking at you for the tomorrow. And I have got some horrible bad advice, and let me tell you about this advice. Don't wear your natural hair. I have had people tell me not to wear my natural hair. So, appearance is the hallmark, or what we would say is the hallmark of professionalism. It's one of those things that people will tell us that helps us to get promoted. But I have been told in the past, I've worn braids, an afro twist. I have shaved my head before. I've had, you name it, fried, dyed, laid to the side. I've had all types of hair colors and hairstyles, but people will tell you, and I've been told over the course of my career, do not wear your natural hair to work because it can be perceived as being unprofessional. And the reason why I say that I believe that that is bad advice, and it has proven to be bad advice, because when you are not showing up as your true, authentic self and you're showing up as a fake version of yourself, it translates to customers and it translates to your work. And eventually, at some point, you are going to have to show up for yourself, and not just for the today you, but for generations. And I will give you an example. Before I went into the military, and as you know, professionals, I am a veteran. I watched the movie G.I. Jane and I thought about hair standards. So before I went into the military, I Jada Pinketed it. I shaved my head and I went into the military. And it was because those professional standards, or what whoever they is, said that my hair in its natural appearance, which it is to in its natural form today, was considered at that time unprofessional. And back in 2014 in the military, they banned hairstyles such as afros, braids. We see soldiers with locks now. That was considered unprofessional. But Congress actually got involved, and there was a petition that went around where they said that that cannot be. How is the way that God made me unprofessional?
Mhm.
The way that God made my DNA, how can that be? That's the equivalent of saying, don't go to work black tomorrow. Right, right. Natural hair at work is considered a civil rights issue. And the courts, believe it or not, are still divided on that issue. And I do have a book that I wanted to share. It is called The Hair Story. And they consulted the co-author of this book, and she weighed in. She, along with the author of this book, along with Congress, did several interviews. There was a thorough study that was done to talk about what is a professional appearance for a female and a male soldier and what is not. And so I would just say, yes, there is a way that we should show up to work that is professional, and it depends on what the profession is. But trying to have somebody change the way that God made us, the way He formed us in the womb, I would say that that is demoralizing, and that is some horrible advice. What do you think about that, Dr. Burks?
It's the truth. It is the truth. I cannot tell you how many times. Well, first of all, my hair is natural, but I choose to wear it straight by preference. But if my preference was to wear it in its natural, 100% natural state, then I'm going to do it. I mean, it has nothing to do with my capabilities of doing my job. But I have had to coach leaders on so many occasions where they take one's physical appearance in terms of things that they cannot control or things that they were born with out of the equation when making a hiring decision. And so to me, that's just like saying to somebody, well, you have a birthmark and I don't think that'll look good in staff photos. So we're just going to go ahead and move on. Best of luck to you. Just as crazy as that sounds to me when I hear people discriminate against people because of how their hair naturally grows out of their head, that's stupid. It's stupid. But yeah, I think the Crown Act was so necessary, and it's so sad that we had to go to that extent to keep people from being discriminated against with their hair. It sounds so stupid, but it is an old mindset. And for some reason, we evolve in this country in some ways, and in others, we're still stuck in the past. And to me, that mindset is crazy. So, Dr. Ellison, I'm so glad you came into your own. And you see in every video, Dr. Ellison she is like repping with her natural hair. So it shows you that you can be professional as well, and it has nothing to do with how your hair naturally grows from your scalp. That was good, Dr. Ellison.
Do you have another piece of horrible, bad advice that you've gotten that we can learn from?
Yes. The bad piece of advice I got was just go with the flow. And the context that was designed was don't come in there, don't try to make changes, don't be the squeakiest wheel on the cart. Just come in, keep your head down, and go with the flow. And I am not a go with the flow type of girl. I'm just not, because if I see a problem, my first mind is identifying it and rectifying it if possible. So no, if I see broke processes, if I see like inhumane things, if I see unfairness, if I see those things, no, I can't just go with the flow. Like, I have an accountability first to God, and I have an accountability. Like, I entered into this field to be of service to humans, and being in human resources is so far beyond payroll and onboarding and disciplinary action and compliance, but it's also about integrity. And so I can't go with the flow on something if it doesn't seem right. And a lot of times it's not. And so I'm willing to go against the grain and call you out on something that's fair. Now, I can only pray that you take heed to it and work with me on making changes. And if you choose not to, I feel like this: when you become aware, you become accountable. So if you choose to operate like with a organization of thousands, and if you want to operate like a mom and pop shop, that is on you, but you can never say that I didn't tell you. So I will never just go with the flow ever. And I'm pretty sure, Dr. Ellison, you wouldn't either, but I still want to know what you think.
I think that is so funny. And you're right. Go with the flow is like something that we commonly say. And on the surface, it doesn't seem like that would be bad advice, because you want to most of us just want to go along to get along. We don't want to stir the pot. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. But I got a certification some years ago in Lean Six Sigma. And one thing I learned about that is that sometimes the flow ain't right. And when you go with the flow, you may realize that your flow is inefficient. Your flow is ineffective. Your flow is causing backups. Your flow is costing you your bottom line. Your flow is costing you money. Your flow may be keeping you from getting new customers. Your flow may be jacking you all the way up. And you are exactly right, Dr. Burks. Going with the flow is not always good advice. If we see something wrong, we should be fixing it, because God instructs us not to be conformed to the pattern of this world. We are called to be set apart and to be different, not to be different just to be being different. But if we see something wrong, we are supposed to be offering a quality product and service to people, not just going along to get along. We're not here to be people pleasers. We're here to operate with a sense of purpose and with a sense of excellence. And I think that that is some bad advice that is commonly spoken in the workplace.
Mhm.
And my last piece of bad advice, not the only bad advice I've ever gotten in the workplace, but the last one I'll share with you all today is, you don't get paid to think. You don't get paid to think. I had a very senior leader walk up to my desk one day. Everybody was out on break. I was the only one sitting in the office, and I was deciding that instead of going out on a lunch break or a break, everybody was gone, I would sit at my desk and I would do my homework. So I decided to pursue a master's degree of business administration. So I was working on my MBA, and this senior leader just happened to be walking around, and he came over, put his elbows up on my desk and was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I decided to eat at my desk, and I'm going to do my, try to finish my schoolwork." And he asked me, about my educational goals, this, that, and third. And he said, "Well, you don't get paid to think." And I think, professionals, that that is bad advice.
Mhm.
We do get paid to think. Now,
Mhm.
whether your employer wants to pay for your professional development or not, like Dr. Burke said, we are problem solvers. And it's not just about getting a title, it's not just about getting a degree, it's about developing the kind of insight that drives organizations forward. And that's kind of like, the first piece of bad advice Dr. Burks had. We are supposed, you never know what opportunities may present themselves. We should always be in a mindset where we are trying to be better people. And it's not just about having a diploma on the wall or something to brag about. We are always should be in a mindset where we are trying to make ourselves better, and telling somebody that you don't get paid to think. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I get paid to make this organization great. I get paid to make this organization better. I am not a robot. I am a human being, and I am created in God's image. And because He is creative, He has made me creative. And because He is wise, we can go to Him and ask Him for wisdom and for knowledge. And for that reason, I do get paid to think. What do you think about that, Dr. Burks?
First of all, that's insulting to say something like that, because who are
Yeah.
you talking to? But when I've heard people say that, it's typically people who don't have the level of credentials I have.
Mm,
So you have to dummy it down to help your ego. But see, that's the difference of when you walk around in your purpose and you know your worth, because nobody can tell me otherwise. I've told y'all in previous videos, Dr. Ellison was doing her homework for our doctoral program in the field with no access to the same things that we normally have access to, and she made no excuses. So the audacity of you to say you don't get paid to think, when we have to pay for these degrees and we have to think. So we have professional degrees because they're practical, which means you put them into practice. So to say that you don't get paid to that's stupid. But again, this is that old school mindset. And to me, if you are intimidated by me, just say that. Just say that, because who are you to tell me what I'm getting paid to do? The moment I see on that application or that job description, the amount of time or preferred experience, and I see anything about a degree on there, then I do get paid to think, because I had to think and use my brain during my whole entire program. So that's a bunch of baloney, to be honest with you. But that's, it like, so many things I can say, but I'm trying to keep it. That's a coward. That's such a coward statement. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've had more credentials than my supervisors. And I've encountered some of that where they feel intimidated. And it's like, well, I had these credentials when you hired me. So why am I now here? And you seemed a little threatened. Like, did you think I lied? Like, what? Because I'm coming to the table with something to offer. I don't need a seat. I bring my own. So you can't tell me otherwise. But Dr. Ellison worked her butt off getting her. I'm just speaking of doctorate. That in itself was a lot. So you're not going to tell me I don't get paid to think when I have to think strategically every single day to do my job. So no, you're right, Dr. Ellison. I don't know who he was talking to, but just saying.
So, professional, if you have ever received any advice that didn't sit right with you, remember that you are not alone. Together, we are going to strive for workplaces that value authenticity, growth, and integrity. If you are paying attention to the news like Dr. Burks and I do, there are layoffs upon layoffs. There are people that are trying to figure out what their next move is. And if we listen to some of this advice that we have been given, we wouldn't be able to pivot. And we want you all to be able to pivot. We want you to be able to grow. And guess what? That means sometimes it has to be in one ear and out the other, because some of this advice doesn't sit right and it doesn't make any sense, right? We encourage you. And we hope that you are encouraging others. And if you need any encouragement, if you need any prayer, we are women of faith that pray. Check the description box. We will leave some information there for you. What crappy workplace advice have you gotten? Leave some stuff in the comments. We hope to do more videos like this because we have gotten a ton of horrible, bad workplace advice. And remember, we always keep it professional. And we hope that you stay professional, that you stay encouraged, and remember to be blessed.
Be professional, Dr. Burks, Dr. Ellison, running numbers so clean they thought it was embezzling. Faith thicker than a hymn, pages worn in the Bible. Veteran hustle, I'm waging war on my rivals. Heavy bass like a sermon shaking pews. 808 stomping these beats, ain't got no truth. Slew, whistling soft, but the words cut sharper. Moody as the weather when the skies grow darker. Free